والله خلقكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم جعلكم أزواجا وما تحمل من أنثى ولا تضع إلا بعلمه وما يعمر من معمر ولا ينقص من عمره إلا في كتاب إن ذلك على الله يسير وما يستوي البحران هذا عذب فرات سائغ شرابه وهذا ملح أجاج ومن كل تأكلون لحما طريا وتستخرجون حلية تلبسونها وترى الفلك فيه مواخر لتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى ذلكم الله ربكم له الملك والذين تدعون من دونه ما يملكون من قطمير إن تدعوهم لا يسمعوا دعاءكم ولو سمعوا ما استجابوا لكم ويوم القيامة يكفرون بشرككم ولا ينبئك مثل خبير صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdul Rahim, and Assalamu alaikum everybody. Today we'll be starting the series of Religious Ambition Seminar with Sheikh Jafar. It will be a series of interactive sessions that we'll be having over the next 2 weekends. Next Saturday we have specifically an open house interfaith event, but aside from that, throughout this weekend and next weekend we'll be having sessions on religious ambition. Inshallah, with your support and moving up, we can engage and discuss supportively with this session with a lot of salawat. More of the young guys, please. Inshallah, we'll be starting the program with Sheikh Jafar with 3 loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأن ليس للإنسان إلا ما سعى صدق الله العلي العظيم. So is the sound, is it good or clear or okay? Yeah. So this, we're just using this for today. So Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So inshallah, as we plan to give a kind of a seminar, or at least what they call in Arabic nadwatun ilmiya. So kind of a seminar, not necessarily a lecture where I'm going to be speaking just on my own behalf, but I want everyone to participate in the discussion. Inshallah, discussion, as we said, will be about religious ambition and motivation. But before we get into that particular discussion, I just want to speak just a little bit about the barakah and the blessing of this month of Ramadan. One part of it is, as you know, that this is the month in which the Quran has been revealed, but the blessed month of Ramadan is actually the month of wahi. You could say that, the month of revelation. And one of the riwayat from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so it's reported that the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he stated this, and the hadith is narrated from Abu Dhar, where he stated that, where the Prophet stated that the scriptures, or the suhuf, of course we know in the Quran we read about the suhuf of Ibrahim wa Musa, that the suhuf of Ibrahim was revealed in the blessed month of Ramadan. According to this riwayah, it says on the third day of Ramadan. And another narration that is also similar to this, it says on the first day of Ramadan. And that the Torah of Musa was revealed on the sixth day of Ramadan. And the Injil of Isa ibn Maryam was revealed on the 13th of Ramadan. And the Zabur of Dawood, the Psalms of Dawood, was revealed on the 18th of Ramadan, the 18th night of Ramadan. And that the Furqan, or the Quran itself, was revealed on the 23rd. So the way it says, أنزل الفرقان على محمد لأربع وعشرين من شهر رمضان. It says the 24th, but it means like the night, meaning the 23rd. So the eve of the 24th of Ramadan. So this is one of those aspects, or at least one of the beautiful aspects about this blessed month of Ramadan. It is a moment of kind of connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's revelation, the communication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our discussion on religious ambition, or what we can consider to be sa'i. Again, there's a couple of words in the Quran that may fall into this aspect of kind of ambition, which alludes to our efforts. One is sa'i, one is juhd. So, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this al-juhd may be something that you're more familiar with, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهِدُ لِنَفْسِهِ. So that person who strives, they're striving for themselves. Sa'i also is another word that kind of comes in the meaning of that. The difference between al-sa'i wal-juhd, does anyone know? What's the difference between sa'i and juhd? Anyone? From jihad, yeah. Yes, in that sense. So sa'i is to act, to strive, to make endeavors. وَأَلَّيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. So a person will achieve that which he or she strives towards. But the sa'i is more broader, in a sense, that it is general. So I don't know whether that action, whatever that goal, whether it's difficult or whether it's easy, that's what sa'i is. But juhd is with regards to something that is difficult. So perhaps there's some sort of obstacles. There's some sort of objection or something that you have to strive against. وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهِدُ لِنَفْسِهِ. For example, sometimes our nafs is in the way, for example. So we have to kind of strive against our nafs, against what our actual nafs wants. And we, again, go towards that thing. One very beautiful example of this, kind of beautiful anecdote of this, is when one individual who was kind of this saintly person, and perhaps you guys have heard this story before, where some of the people in Medina, they came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, and they said that Muhammad. So apparently this kind of Hindu or who kind of mastered, his nafs, controlled his nafs. So he's doing these kind of amazing things. He's able to walk on nails, on fire, and it doesn't burn him. And so some came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam and says, this person is doing all of these things. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, okay. He comes and he sees this person. And so Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he asks him that, what are these things that you're doing? And so one of those things, he says, look, I can walk through a wall. And so Imam Sadiq says, okay, go, do that. And he does. And he comes back. And so Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, how did you reach this maqam? How did you reach this station? He says, khalaftu nafsi. He says, whatever my nafs desired, I went against it. And so Imam Sadiq, he says, it's okay, fine. So then Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he tells him about the final revelation of Allah, La ilaha illallah, and he proves it to him. And this person has no argument against Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, that what Imam Sadiq is saying is not true. He had no argument. So at that point, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam told him, he says, Fashhad, La ilaha illallah wa Muhammadur Rasulullah. So he says, now bear witness that there's no God but God and Muhammad is his messenger. And so he refused. And so then Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, tell me. He says that when I asked you to bear witness, he says, because you had no argument against what I proved to you, he says, what did your nafs say? He says, my nafs said to reject it. He says, so in all these places, you went against your nafs, but here, you didn't go against your nafs. You followed your nafs. He says, why? And at that point, this person was like, yeah, you're right. He says, I have no argument against you. Then he says, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then at that point, Imam Sadiq, he says, now go through the wall. And he said, and when he went to the wall, he hit the wall and he fell. And he jumped up. He was like, what is this? He was like, before I could do this. It was not a problem. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, I just saved you. He says, because Allah is just, one of the qualities of Allah is just, he says, you went against your nafs, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this maqam. And all of your reward was here and nothing for the akhirah. He says, now you have your reward here for going against your nafs, and you have some there in the akhirah. He says, so continue to strive against your nafs. So al-juhd is, sometimes that very difficult action, whereas sa'i is just action in general. And sometimes in the Quran as well, this word sa'i is coupled and related to a person going after or striving or making efforts towards their livelihood. Within the Quran as well, sa'i, sin, ayn, and ya. It appears almost 30 times, different forms within the Quran. 20 of those forms are in the verb form, and 10 of them are in the noun form. The verb form, when it's used, quite often it's used to convey a message of striving. Yeah, if you can put that on. Of striving, of running, moving swiftly. When it is used as a noun, it often denotes this understanding of making effort or striving as well, or moving very quickly, hastily. So what I've done, and inshallah I'll send this out. So my first question is that how many of you guys actually have the IABA app? How many? Raise your hands. You guys have the IABA app? Yeah. Okay. You guys don't? Young guys? You guys should get the IABA app. All right? Because as I said, this is not going to be a one-way conversation. And what I will do is I will post things on the Sheikh's Corner. How many of you guys have seen the Sheikh's Corner in the IABA app? Guys? Okay. So this is going to make it kind of easy to kind of keep up with some of the discussion and reflection, because this is what I want you guys to do, to reflect. So, I'll send this link on the Sheikh's Corner, and this is basically the root of sa'i. And so everywhere this word is used in the Quran, you'll be able to see it. I'll send another link as well, which will be to a commentary, because we're not going to go directly through the commentaries of these verses. But they're good verses to look up, to reflect upon, to kind of look up the commentary and see what the commentaries have stated about these particular verses. So as we go through the discussion, it will help with understanding and framing this concept and this idea of kind of ambition and motivation. So when you hear ambition, what do you guys think of? What do you guys, just off the top of your head? Career. So is it something good? Sisters, you guys want to participate? When you hear ambition, what do you guys think of? So career. Go-getter. Okay. Is it something positive, negative, or in between? Positive? Absolutely positive? Always positive? Ambition? Exactly. So you can have negative ambitions as well. Negative motivations. So as you reflect about these things, about ambition, about motivation, and particularly as our discussion, we want to kind of frame it more or less in kind of a positive way, because it is something which is needed with regards to kind of correcting ourselves, correcting our nafs, going upon a path of spirituality, and not so much discussed, I would say it's not discussed often, but some of these scholars, they have kind of discussed this idea of having like high ambitions, high religious ambitions. In Farsi, you say bulan himmat, al-himmat. So you give importance to something. And that importance that we should be giving things to is, again, our spiritual state of being, our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But ambition, and especially when we look at it with this word, a sa'i, that we are acting towards something. We're moving towards some sort of direction or some sort of objection to achieve some sort of goal. That it is something that is portrayed in the Quran, sometimes in a very positive way, or sometimes a neutral way, and also sometimes in a negative way, that some ambitions, some goals are not good. So in one of the verses, so in Surah Baqarah, if we just simply go by, I think it should be the first one there, that's Surah Baqarah. It says, again, the first one, verse 114. We look at that verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ مَنَعَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ أَن يُذْكَرَ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ وَسَعَى فِي خَرَابِهَا أُولَٰئِكَ مَا كَانَ لَهُمْ أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم. So this ambition or this goal or this kind of striving is a negative one. Is one in which a group of individuals that they were striving to do what? To remove and to destroy the masajid of Allah. To remove, they're actively moving towards destroying sacred places. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about these individuals that they will be at loss in this world, khizyun fi dunya, and in the akhirah, adhabun azim. And of course, even in today's time, we see the same thing, that people, unfortunately, that because of their mindset, because of their understanding, they think that only this dunya is important, and to gain from this dunya is important. So therefore, when it comes to sacred lands, sacred places, again, they have no concern, they have no respect. Masajid, the shrines, but again, we destroy them all. The objective is what? To destroy the dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will be the one who will He will destroy these individuals, that their efforts, even if it seems that they achieve those efforts, that those efforts would be in loss. Khizyun fi dunya. And of course, several examples of this we've seen, or at least we know of, even in history. Abraha, when he comes to destroy the Kaaba, and Abdul Muttalib, says that, look, this is not my house, this is the house of Allah, and Allah will take care of it. Allah will save it. He says, I'm gathering my camel, he says, this belongs to me. But Allah will take care of His house. So sometimes that sa'i, that those efforts are efforts made in vain, in the wrong direction. Likewise in 205, verse 205 of Surah Baqarah, وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ فِيهَا وَيُحْلِكَ الْحَرُثَ وَالنَّسْلَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْفَسَادِ. And subhanAllah, if we, even if we reflect upon, modern warfare, we reflect upon what's happening today, that, again, this ayah, subhanAllah, it is to the point that, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that some who wield authority, what do? They cause and they strive towards corruption. And what is that corruption? يُحْلِكُ الْحَرْث وَالنَّسْلِ. So, again, when you speak about modern warfare, what did they aim for in the beginning? To destroy infrastructure. Oh, well, we're going to stop these people from drinking. We'll destroy whatever the source of drinking is, whatever the source of eating from. This is يُحْلِكُ الْحَرْث وَالنَّسْلِ. So, he says, وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْفَسَادِ. And this is one of those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He dislikes. He dislikes that. Likewise, also in Surah Baqarah, and this goes basically according to the verses in verse 260. In verse 260 of Surah Baqarah, this is actually used in a verb form, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at this point He says, وَإِذَا قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي قَالَ فَخُذْ أَرْبَعَةٍ مِنَ الطَّيْرِ فَصُرْهُنَّ إِلَيْكَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, just to paraphrase so that we're not taking too long. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is in a conversation with Ibrahim. And this sa'i, or this effort, is one in which a person is making effort to, the Prophet of Allah, to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That kayfa tuhyi al-mawta. That, oh Allah, that how do you bring life to that which is dead? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, He says, take the 4 birds. He says, you destroy them, you put them in different places, that the birds are put in different places. He says, then ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ يَأْتِيَنَّكَ سَعْيًا وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. He says that you place them in different places, then you call them, and they will come hastily towards you. So these birds, they will come back together as they were before you had taken their life and spread their parts over different parts of the mountain, of land. They will come and hasten towards you. So that, in other words, in some sense, that ma'rifah, that understanding, or the answer to your question, when it's connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will come towards you. So just, as I said, so today is just simply kind of an introduction of this. And normally, what I would do is that I will kind of take maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15 to 20 minutes on a discussion. I will post a discussion on the Sheikh's Corner. So you'll see what the discussion is. And you guys can review the verses of Quran, go through the tafsir, and then inshallah come prepared to discuss this idea of bulan himmat, or at least religious ambition and motivation. One thing that you will kind of notice, and I'll just ask a question, but it should become clear, at least as you are going through these things. So how do you determine whether the effort is a good effort or a negative effort? Like if you were just simply reading through these verses, did anyone pull this up on there, or some of these verses? So go to Surah Al-Ma'idah, so chapter 5, verse 33. Okay, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 33. So when you read this verse, what comes to mind? Just take a few seconds to... بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو يقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف. So, of course, what comes to mind with regards to those efforts? Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 And it's also a negative effort that people are striving against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. What about verse 19 of Surah Isra? So chapter 17, verse 19. Verse 19 of Surah Isra. So chapter 17, verse 19. Good. MashaAllah. We have very quick people. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. So what comes to mind when you read that verse? Yes. Yes. So again, as you read, again, the Quran, you read these different verses where this idea and this concept of sa'i is there, that you're going to come across that. So first, on one hand, that whether it's a positive ambition, positive goal, positive objective, or whether it's a negative one. And then that sa'i, what is it connected to? So sometimes that sa'i is connected to, destroying the masajid of Allah, destroying the dhikr of Allah. At times it is, for example, in this verse, that one who is striving للآخرة. ومن سعى للآخرة سعيها. So that person who strives, ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها. And so whoever strives for that akhirah, then they will gain that. وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا. So also striving towards the akhirah, it has a condition as well. What is that condition? Iman. To have iman. Because you won't be able to strive for that akhirah without iman. And if you strive towards that akhirah with iman, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala كان سعيه سعيهم مشكورا. That sa'i, that effort is appreciated. But appreciated by whom? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, we will continue upon this path. Today, as I said, it was just simply an introduction. And inshallah, hopefully in this way that we will not only gain an understanding of and how to develop a good and positive ambition. We will have examples of good and positive ambition, some of negative ambition, so that we may stay away from it. Inshallah, hopefully as well, through this kind of seminar style that will help keep us awake while we're fasting. Or even if we are, because from tomorrow it will be before we break our fast. So inshallah, as we participate, it will help us keep awake and also as well give us a better understanding of the Quran and to appreciate the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He has delivered to us in the Quran and the Sirat and the Sunnah of Rasulullah and His Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam. So are there any questions at this moment or? Yes, so if a person's making, so if a person's, if their objective, if their goal is not correct, then they will, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He gives these example of those who, they strive towards corruption in the earth. And this is something that always kind of existed. I would say, well, not always existed, but it's something that in the history of humanity, you see it, that there's these positive goals, positive objectives. There are things that we should be striving towards and things that we should abstain from. But unfortunately, sometimes people, they make their effort, they put their efforts in the wrong direction, which creates corruption in the earth, the fasad. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wallahu la yuhibbul fasad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not like the corruption. So there are two sides of that effort, and inshallah, as I said, that these are not going to be the only verses that we will allude to. We'll be alluding to other verses, but at least this will kind of give you some sort of kind of perspective, at least something to work with as we go through the kind of seminar and discussion. So as you read these, because I'll be coming from other sources, from hadith, from other verses of Quran as well, but this kind of gives you kind of a clear track that, okay, well, if I want to read about something regarding ambition, regarding kind of motivation, even if you want to look on this website, I'll give the website. It is the Quran Corpus. You can actually look up the roots of words. So even if you want to look up the root word, jahada, to strive. And as I said, sa'i is more general. In a sense, it means to make effort towards something. Whether those efforts are difficult, entail some sort of difficulty or not. But jahada means to make efforts towards a goal or something, but there's some sort of difficulty there. So, of course, you can look up both. In fact, maybe I'll send both, and you guys can kind of read through these verses, reflect upon these verses, inshallah, use some of the tafsirs that are available. And then as we come, we will discuss this idea and this concept of, religious ambitions or having high ambitions, inshallah. Any other questions? Okay, inshallah, we'll end here. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and all of our efforts in this blessed month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of Imam Zaman, make us among his companions and his helpers, and those who sacrifice their lives for him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma ighfir dhunubana wastur ayubana waqdi hawajina washfi maradana ورحم أمواتنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا ومعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.